Hello, friends. Welcome to Storycraft. On this channel, you will enjoy world top stories. Let's view the video. The woman who appeared in everyone's dreams. The first dreamer, a restless night in New York. It was the kind of night that hummed with unease. Rain tapped against the windows like skeletal fingers, and the distant sounds of sirens echoed through the canyons of Manhattan. In a small apartment nestled between two decaying buildings, 29-year-old graphic designer Elliot Granger couldn't sleep. No matter how many times he flipped his pillow, changed positions, or counted backward from 100, something gnawed at the edges of his mind, like a warning he couldn't hear but could feel. At exactly 3:17 a.m., his eyes closed. That was when he saw her. The woman in the red room. Elliot found himself in a place that didn't exist in the waking world. A dimly lit room, painted deep red, with no doors and no windows. The air felt heavy, like it was soaked in something ancient. In the middle of the room stood a woman. Not beautiful in a traditional sense, but unforgettable. She had long black hair that shimmered like ink, eyes so dark they looked like pits, and a pale face that somehow felt familiar. She didn't speak. She only stared at him, lips parted as if about to say something, but never did. Elliot tried to move, tried to speak, but his body was locked in place. The woman's expression shifted from blankness to sorrow. Her eyes filled with something close to pain, then panic. She raised her hand slowly, pointing directly at him. Suddenly, a blinding flash of white light exploded behind her, and Elliot jolted awake. A dream too real. His heart pounded against his chest like a drum. Sweat drenched his sheets, and his hands trembled as if he'd been running for miles. But what disturbed him most wasn't the dream itself. It was the smell. His apartment reeked of roses. Not the faint, synthetic kind. These smelled fresh, as though someone had just laid a bouquet of deep red flowers on his bed. But there were none. No flowers. No petals. Nothing. Just the smell, and the memory of a woman who didn't belong in his mind. The search for her face. The next day, Elliot couldn't focus. At work, he fumbled through meetings, lost in thought. That woman's face clung to his brain like a scar. He tried drawing her from memory, first on a napkin, then on his digital tablet. Hours passed. He couldn't stop. When he was done, he had an eerily detailed portrait of her. She stared back at him from the screen with that same blank intensity. Unsure of what drove him, Elliot uploaded the image to an online dream forum under the title, "Does anyone recognize this woman?" He closed his laptop and tried to forget. But the internet never forgets. The replies begin. By the next morning, Elliot's post had exploded. There were hundreds of replies. Most were trolls, sure, but buried between jokes and emojis were serious responses, chilling ones. "I saw her too, same red room. She didn't say anything. She pointed at me. I woke up screaming. Oh my God, I thought I was the only one." Elliot's stomach dropped. He wasn't alone. The dream wasn't unique. Somehow, other people were seeing her too. A pattern emerges. The following week, more and more people shared their experiences. They came from different places: Tokyo, Buenos Aires, London, Cape Town. Different languages, different lives. But they all described the same woman, same black hair, same pale face, same silence, and always the Red Room. They began calling her the Dream Woman. Online forums exploded. Psychologists offered weak explanations about collective consciousness. Conspiracy theorists claimed it was a government experiment. Spiritual communities said it was a warning from another realm. But none of that explained how new dreamers kept appearing, every night, and each time the woman seemed more desperate. The interview that changed everything. A week after Elliot's original post, a man named Dr. Marcus Holden, a neuroscientist from MIT, reached out. He claimed to be tracking a phenomenon just like this for over 2 years. People from around the world dreaming about the same woman without ever knowing each other. He documented 142 cases before finding Elliot's thread. But something about Elliot's dream stood out. "She pointed at you?" Holden asked during their first video call. "That's rare. Only 3 other people have experienced that. And in every case..." He paused. "In every case, those people went missing shortly after." The vanishing. The warning came too late. 3 days later, Elliot vanished. No forced entry, no signs of struggle. His apartment was untouched. Laptop open, coffee cup half full. His digital drawing of the woman still glowing on the screen, and the smell of roses. Police launched an investigation, but with no leads and no witnesses, the case went cold within weeks. But the internet didn't forget. Elliot became a martyr of the mystery, his story fueling the legend. More people claimed to dream of her. Some said she cried in their dreams now. Others said she whispered a name, Elliot. The dreams spread. What started as one dreamer turned into hundreds, then thousands. Social media hashtags trended. Dream Woman, Red Room, guys find Elliot. News outlets began covering the phenomenon. Skeptics mocked it as mass hysteria. Scientists couldn't explain it. Religious leaders called it a sign. But those who saw her knew it wasn't a game. Something was coming through the veil of sleep, something watching, waiting. And with each new dream, she got closer to saying something, closer to reaching out, closer to crossing over. Faces she shouldn't know. A girl in Belarus, thousands of miles from New York, in the quiet town of Lida, Belarus. Anya Koroleva, a 16-year-old high school student, sat bolt upright in bed, gasping for air. Her dream had been terrifying. She was in a red room with no windows and no doors. The air had smelled like dying roses. And there she was again, the woman. Pale skin, black eyes, long dark hair flowing unnaturally around her. But this time the woman wasn't alone. Behind her stood faces, people. Dozens of them, blurry and silent. Faces Anya didn't recognize, except for one. Elliot Granger. Anya had never been to America. She didn't speak English well. She had no idea who Elliot was, or that he had vanished a month earlier. But in her dream, she knew his name. And the woman. She whispered something, one word. Remember. Drawing the faces. When Anya awoke, her hands were already moving. She reached for her sketch pad in the dark, flipping to a blank page. Her fingers worked faster than her thoughts, scribbling the faces she'd seen behind the woman. The lines weren't perfect, but the shapes, the eyes, the expressions, were exact. By morning, she had drawn 7 portraits. Later that day, while scrolling social media, she stopped cold. There, in a Reddit thread about the dream woman, was a post about Elliot, with a photo. The same face she'd drawn just hours before. Her hands shook. She flipped through her sketchbook again. 6 faces remained, unknown, but not for long. A post that goes viral. Anya created a Reddit account that same day and posted her sketches under the title, "The Woman in Red showed me these people. I only recognize one." Within hours, the post exploded. The comment section flooded with reactions. "Wait, third one down. That's my cousin Reza. He's been having the dreams too." Top left is Michelle. She's in my psych class. She started drawing roses last week obsessively. Bottom right, that's me. One by one, people began identifying themselves or their loved ones in Anya's sketches. It was impossible. She had never met these people, never seen them, never spoken to them. But somehow, the woman in the dream had shown her their faces. Unlikely connections. News outlets began to take notice. A podcast about internet mysteries picked up the story. Within days, Anya was contacted by a documentary crew from Germany. They were investigating the Dream Woman cases and wanted to fly her out for an interview. But her mother, Irina, forbade it. "You don't bring darkness into your life," she warned. "That woman is not from here. She's not of this world." Still, the drawings spread. More people came forward. At least 4 of the 7 faces had been positively identified, and all of them had reported seeing the dream woman in the last month. But here's the twist. 2 of them had stopped dreaming, not because they were cured, but because they had disappeared, just like Elliot. The psychologist with secrets. In London, a man named Dr. Adrian Morell, a retired sleep psychologist, watched Anya's post with a sense of dread. He hadn't spoken of her in years, not since his own patient had vanished. 10 years earlier, a woman named Emily Down had come to him, crying about a recurring dream, a woman in red, in a room with no escape. Every night the woman got closer. Every night Emily woke up later. Sleep was pulling her deeper. Dr. Morell thought it was just trauma, a symbolic figure, nothing more. Until Emily screamed during a session, then collapsed, and never woke up. Her body remained in a coma for 6 months before flatlining. Now, with Anya's drawings resurfacing old memories, Morell opened a dusty box hidden deep in his study. Inside were sketches. Emily's sketches. One of them matched Anya's drawings exactly. The same face, the same eyes, the same haunted expression. The 5th sketch. In a small apartment in Seoul, South Korea, 22-year-old gamer Min-Jun Lee stared at the drawing. His friend had forwarded to him. He was the 5th sketch. No doubt about it. He had the scar under his lip. The same curl in his hair. The same mole by his left eye. He had been dreaming of her for weeks. But in his dreams, she didn't point. She whispered. Names. Sometimes his. Sometimes others. He thought he was losing it. But now, seeing himself, in Anya's art, he knew it was real. He recorded a video explaining everything, posted it to YouTube. The video hit 2 million views in 3 days. And then, Min-Jun vanished. His last known online activity? A Reddit comment on Anya's post. She smiled this time, and the room wasn't red anymore. It was black. The theory she's choosing. Speculation spiraled. Some believed the dream woman was an echo of a real person, perhaps someone who died in her sleep and got trapped in the dreamscape. Others thought she was a demon, feeding on attention. Some said she was the collective memory of forgotten women, abused, silenced, erased. But a darker theory took hold. She was choosing. One by one, she was identifying people, pulling them from the waking world into hers, and using dreamers like Anya to broadcast their images, to tag them like prey. Those she pointed at vanished. Those she whispered to slowly unraveled. And those who saw the others, they were the next in line. The seventh face. Back in Belarus, Anya began having the dreams again. But now the red room had changed. The walls flickered like static. The woman seemed stronger, more solid. The faces behind her were clearer. They didn't move, didn't speak. They just stared, and then she saw him. The seventh face. Not a stranger this time. It was her little brother, Luca. He was only 10. In the dream, the woman turned toward Luca and smiled. Anya screamed, but her voice didn't echo. No sound came out at all. Whispers across the world, a broadcast. No one expected. It began with a single transmission. A late-night radio station in Reykjavik. Iceland, known for playing ambient music and white noise, suddenly cut to static. Then came a voice, soft, breathy, almost inaudible. Not Icelandic, not English, but something in between. The engineer on duty, Björn Christiansen, scrambled to fix it. But nothing was broken. The transmission was clean, intentionally routed. He recorded it, played it back, a whisper, repeated, again and again. Remember me. The next night, 3 more radio stations, one in Melbourne, another in Lagos, and one in Nova Scotia, received the same transmission, different frequencies, same message. And always at exactly 3:17 a.m. The sound in the silence. Audio engineers began analyzing the clip. Hidden under the whispers was a faint, high-pitched tone, almost imperceptible to the human ear. But when slowed down and reversed, something chilling emerged. A chorus of voices, crying, begging, repeating the same sentence. She's almost here. The voice in the front, the loudest, matched a known recording of Elliot Granger. Somehow, Elliot's voice had returned, but he had never said these words publicly. No AI manipulation, no deepfake. It was real and terrifying. Sleep studies gone wrong. In a lab outside Kyoto, Japan, neurologist Dr. Hana Akiyama was running a clinical sleep study on dream patterns when she read about the transmission. Intrigued, she introduced a new variable, a subliminal loop of the whisper, "Remember me," played faintly to volunteers as they slept. Within 24 hours, all 7 participants reported the same nightmare. The red room. The woman. This time, she didn't just point. She approached. One participant, a 34-year-old teacher, woke up mid-sleep, screaming in a language he didn't speak. Another refused to go back to sleep, claiming the woman had shown him his own funeral. The experiment was shut down. Dr. Akiyama went silent, and 3 nights later, she too disappeared. A forum turns dark. The online community that had once been curious now felt haunted. A subreddit dedicated to the dream woman reached $300,000, members in less than a month. New threads flooded in daily. She's starting to speak. I saw myself in the background. The walls in the red room are moving now. But one post sent chills through everyone's spine. It simply said, I was awake, and she was there. The user never posted again, but their account remained online, with one final edit made 2 minutes before it went dark. She knows we're talking about her. Luca begins to change. Back in Belarus, Anya watched her little brother, Luca, slip away from her. He was quieter now, pale, drawn. He spoke less and less each day, and when he did, it was strange. Phrases that weren't his, old words, ancient grammar, things no child should know. One night she found him standing in the hallway at 3:17 a.m. staring at the wall. He whispered, "She's looking through the cracks." When she asked who, Luca only smiled and said, "You'll see her again soon. She said you remember too much." In a global map of nightmares, an independent researcher named Carlos Menendez from Mexico City created a digital map tracking all reported sightings of the Dream Woman. He correlated data from forums, sleep studies, missing persons reports, and even online confessions. What he found was disturbing. The sightings formed concentric circles around 4 key locations: New York City, Moscow, Jakarta, Cairo. These were not random. They aligned with ancient ley lines, mythical energy paths believed to connect spiritual locations across Earth. Carlos published his findings in a 94-page document. He titled it, "She Was Always Here." 2 days later, Carlos posted a final message. "I found the center. It's beneath us. She's waking up." Then, he deleted everything. Gone. Echoes from the past. In a dusty archive in Rome, Vatican archivist Sister Marcella stumbled upon a 14th-century manuscript buried under sealed documents. It described a figure called La Signora del Sonno, the Lady of Sleep. According to the document, she was not a myth but a real entity worshipped and feared by an ancient cult predating Christianity. The texts said she could cross into people's minds through dreams, that she whispered names, and those she named were never seen again. One page stood out, a sketch, the same face, the same eyes. The woman from the Red Room, written beneath it in Latin. Meministimi, et nunc me videbis. You remembered me, and now you will see me. The Black Room. The Red Room wasn't red anymore. New dreamers reported a shift. The room had turned black, a void, no walls, no ceiling, just endless darkness, and her. She no longer stood still. She walked, now, toward them. Some dreamers woke screaming. Others didn't wake at all. Hospitals began reporting patients slipping into comas with no medical explanation. Some muttered phrases in their sleep. All of them mentioned the same name, Anya. Anya's decision, Anya couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, the woman came closer. Every time the background faces multiplied. Some smiled, others wept. And every night Luca was one step closer to the woman. She had to do something. Armed with her drawings, journals, and a growing sense of dread, she posted one final thread. She's using me. She wants to show me something. I think it's not just dreams anymore. She's bleeding through. I'm going to stop sleeping. I have to break the link. It got 10,000 upvotes in hours. And then Anya stopped posting. The last anyone saw of her was a 10-second video uploaded to her profile. Shaky, unedited, just her, staring at the camera, whispering, "It's not a dream anymore. She's real. She's here." Cut to black. The Vanishing Sleepers. A worldwide crisis begins. It started quietly. A teenager in Vancouver didn't wake up for school. Her parents found her in bed, eyes open but unblinking, heartbeat steady, breath calm but unresponsive. Doctors called it spontaneous prolonged sleep paralysis. The next day, it happened again in Madrid, then in Delhi, then in Cape Town. By the end of the week, 47 cases were reported across 16 countries. All patients exhibited the same symptoms. Heart rate stable. No brain damage, but absolutely unresponsive, and every single one of them had uttered one word before slipping under, her. Anya's diary resurfaces. Though Anya had disappeared, her online storage account, thought to be locked, was hacked and leaked by a user claiming to be her old classmate. What they found was a diary, updated daily in the final days before her. Silence. In one entry, dated March 4th, Anya wrote, "She doesn't just live in the red room anymore. She's inside mirrors, windows. I saw her reflection smile when mine didn't move." Another read, "She wants me to see what she sees. I think I'm becoming her." And the final entry, "If you dream of her, don't turn your back. She hates being forgotten." Attached was an audio file, a distorted recording of Anya humming a lullaby, something eerie, ancient, a tune that somehow felt familiar. Listeners reported headaches. Some claimed to hear a woman whispering behind the melody. A few even said the song followed them into their dreams. Project Morpheus. In an undisclosed military facility in the Nevada desert, a secret task force known only as Project Morpheus was activated. Originally created to explore consciousness and dream state espionage, the team was now focused on one subject only: the Dream Woman. Their lead researcher, Dr. Claudia Reyes, had a theory. "We're dealing with a parasitic entity that travels through collective subconscious. She's not a figment. She's not symbolic. She's evolving, feeding, learning." They identified a pattern among the dreamers. Every person who encountered the woman shared similar traits. History of sleepwalking. Vivid dream recollection. Emotional trauma. But one connection stood out above all. Each of them had forgotten someone important in their past. A childhood friend, a lost sibling, a missing parent. Dr. Reyes believed the Dream Woman was born from forgotten memories. "Every forgotten face becomes a door," she said, "and she's learning how to walk through them." The return of Elliot. Elliot Granger had been missing for months, presumed dead. But then, without warning, he appeared, live, on a hacked billboard screen in Times Square. Security cameras showed no tampering, no wires, no physical device attached, just a 30-second video loop. Elliot, thin, pale, eyes wide with terror. He whispered, "She has a face now, and a name. But if I say it, she'll find you too." Then he screamed, a sound not of pain but of being torn away mid-breath. The screen went black. Thousands saw it. Videos were uploaded. Debates exploded. But digital experts later confirmed the file didn't exist. Not before. Not after. The sleepwatchers, with fear spreading, Online communities formed underground groups called sleepwatchers. They took turns watching over each other while they slept, armed with cameras, audio monitors, and EEG devices. Their goal: detect and prevent entry into the dream realm. They even created a rule book. Never sleep alone. Always record yourself. If you see her, wake them up immediately. If they speak her name, run. Despite precautions, members began disappearing. Sometimes they vanished in front of the cameras. Footage showed them sleeping peacefully, then twitching, jerking, then gone. No flash, no fade, just gone. One clip became infamous. A man in his 20s whispers, "She's in the ceiling," before his body lifts 2 inches off the bed and disappears. The red mark. In Singapore, a mother rushed her 8-year-old daughter to the hospital. The child hadn't slept in 3 nights, terrified that the mirror woman would take her. When nurses removed the girl's pajama top, they gasped. Etched into the skin of her back was a symbol, not burned, not inked, grown. A mark, like a flower made of eyes, black and red. Doctors couldn't explain it. Dermatologists had no answers. But then reports of similar marks began surfacing elsewhere, on necks, backs, even eyelids. Everyone marked, shared. One thing in common. They all claimed to have heard her name, but none of them could repeat it. Every time they tried, their mouths froze or bled. The insomniac resistance. A resistance formed, not just online, but in the physical world. Calling themselves the Woken, they were a network of insomniacs, lucid dreamers, spiritualists, and survivors of dream woman encounters. They believed she was close to crossing over completely, and that dreamers were being turned into gateways. Their base? An abandoned church outside Prague, where the stained glass windows had begun glowing at night without any power source. Inside the sanctuary, murals of angels had changed, subtly. One angel's face had turned dark, hair black, eyes empty. One Woken member wrote on a hidden forum, "We think she's marking the boundaries between worlds, and once they fade, she walks free." Luca's final words. In a hospital in Belarus, Luca lay motionless. Doctors believed he was in a coma, but EEG scans showed something strange. His brain activity was increasing, not decreasing, almost like he was dreaming more than ever. Anya's aunt, who had taken custody of him, sat by his side, clutching his hand. Then, at 3:17 a.m., Luca's eyes opened wide. He didn't blink, didn't speak. Instead, he began writing with his finger on the glass window next to his bed. Over and over, he drew the same shape, the red flower with black eyes. Then, softly, he whispered, "She walks tomorrow," and fell still again. The woman wakes. The clock struck 3:17 a.m. Across continents, people jolted awake, not from nightmares, but from a sensation. A pressure, like something heavy had settled across the sky itself. Birds didn't sing. Wind didn't move. The world held its breath. In a quiet apartment in Poland, a mirror cracked. No impact, no motion. Just a fracture. Like something pushed from the inside. Thousands of security cameras, baby monitors, and live streams glitched at the same moment. And in those moments of static, a frame appeared in each. The red room. The black-eyed woman. And now, she was smiling, no longer in dreams, It began subtly. A man in Argentina claimed to see her in the reflection of a train window. A girl in Egypt said she saw a pale woman watching her from a puddle. A mother in Vietnam took a photo of her newborn, and behind her, in the shadow of the curtain, stood a figure that wasn't there a moment before. Each incident was different, but all shared the same detail. No one else saw her, until they dreamed. And once they did, they vanished. Not all at once. Some disappeared slowly. Their shadows lingered longer than their bodies. Their voices echoed when they were no longer in the room. They were being unmade. Anya's voice. Just as fear began to overtake the globe, a voice returned. Anya. Her voice, distorted and strained, surfaced through hacked speakers, glitched. Video calls and ringing telephones. Always the same message. She was never in our dreams. We were in hers. And she's not waking up. We are. A final transmission showed a city skyline going dark block by block until only one light remained. In a window. She stood there, watching, breathing, smiling. The end or the beginning. The world is quiet now. Sleep is no longer safe. Waking is no longer certain. And across every culture, every language, every land, the same name is spoken in hushed tones. No one remembers when they learned it. No one remembers saying it the first time. But all know what it means. She's here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel Storycraft for more interesting videos.